Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Four Jobbers Podcast. I am, of course, Ginger Heat, and I am not alone in this jobberdom. I have a couple friends with me, and we have a very, very special guest this week. But first, we have the buddy from Kirkcaldy, Jordan Dees, all the way from Edinburgh, Scotland, our resident AEW Mark. What's going on this week, dude? I saw you sipping on your Prima beer before. He's also a brewmaster. My God, this guy's talented. What's going on?
Well, I wouldn't say I was very good at any of those things, but at least I turn up and I try. Yes, we're sipping on some beer today that I've made myself, just in case anybody wants to see. We've got our wee labels there. We're brewing tomorrow as well, so we've got a wee pilsner that we're going to be doing. But we're not here to talk about beer tonight, are we? We're here to talk about fucking wrestling. I mean, it's been an interesting week. And we're going to get into what happened at the weekend. The premium, what's it called? A premium event now?
I am live event.
PLE.
Premium live
PLE.
Event.
It's a
PLE.
It honestly, it felt a bit pleh to me. So I will absolutely take that. But yes, I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good.
Speaking of good, we of course have the waxy, the venomous, the son of the dentist, Ryan, the wax mama. This week he's Ryan Theory. What's going on this week, bud?
Oh, not a whole lot. It's the same old, same old. I'm stuck at home, although I guess I can go have a pint one of these days now. DDP.
Oh, you guys allowed out the house
We're allowed
after
out the house
8 p.m.
now.
or whatever?
Yeah. Old Frankie took out the keys and unlocked the doors.
Excellent.
So
How's the DDP yoga? How's DDPY? You still on
DDP
it?
is still kicking my ass, and he's telling me to do it every day, and he's saying I'm going to get better, and he seems like a reliable guy, so I just have to keep going with it and believe in him.
And of course, someone who doesn't work out, but he's also awesome. He is, of course, the enigmatic, the charismatic, the bizarre, the mysterious, but the wonderful. They hate Jason. What's going on with you this week, Jay?
If DDP can save Jake the Snake and Scott Hall, I'm sure he can do it for Waxman. I believe in him, so I'm happy about that. And I would like to say I had a great day today. It was Taco Tuesday today at work. Someone made tacos, homemade tacos, were fantastic, amazing. I got to bring some home. There was some taco sauce. I accidentally left it unattended on my countertop. I went away for a couple minutes. I come back. And the cat had some nice, tasty taco sauce. Unfortunately, this cat has allergies to certain foods, and spent the next 10 minutes rubbing his face and cleaning it, cleaning his eyes and everything. And he seems okay now. He's probably gonna take a nap. He had some nice taco sauce, so I'm good. Cat's
But
good.
the rest of the leftovers are just going to have to go in your fancy bin that you've got, right?
Yes, I do have a nice
trash can,
$150 garbage can, and I still enjoy it. It's a very heel garbage can. It's a very heel garbage can. Definitely. It'll get me some heat, no doubt about it.
Hashtag.
It is the most expensive piece of furniture in Jason's house, but it is very nice.
I sleep in it also. It's more expensive than my bed.
It doesn't surprise me.
But we are not alone this week, ladies and gentlemen. We have an amazing guest, one of our favorite wrestlers, one of our favorite people. He is, of course, the sensational Shayne Hawke. What is going on, brother?
Man, I was about to do the double guns, but
Let me see
no,
him.
you've all taken all the poses already. Jason did the guns. We got the RVD. What wrestling thing can I do now?
What did Bret Hart do? This?
Yeah, I like
I
that.
don't know.
That's it. It's right there.
Getting a little
It's a bit of a
Right
shimmy.
there.
Yeah.
Rio
He went
there
over to the
with
crowd and said, I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm into it.
I don't know.
Hashtag Brett was right to shimmy. Yo, I'm great. I'm doing well. Honestly, things are opening up again. I had a great day, and preparing some very, very fun wrestling for the upcoming year.
So why don't you tell people a little bit what's your story in the wrestling world? What do you do? Who are you? A little bit. I mean, obviously we know, but
Do you?
why don't you tell all two of our listeners? Not just
Show me your research. I want to know what you know about me. Well, my real name
Ginger
is
World Order.
Yeah. So my name is Andrew Stott. I wrestle as Professor H. Shayne Hawke, formerly Superstar Shayne Hawke. I have not changed my social media because whatever. I am a professional wrestler who has been in training since 2002. Whoa.
Jeez.
I'm very close to my 20-year anniversary in professional wrestling. I am the booker, co-promoter, trainer, jack of all trades for the International Wrestling Syndicate here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, as well as the executive producer and showrunner for both of our TV shows. Our new one coming out in March, of course, IWS Hardcore History, and IWS Bloodstream, our weekly hour-long event on the Fight Network. As I mentioned before, I'm the head trainer. It's a good show. It's a good show. You should watch the show. I'm also the head trainer at the IWS Pro Dojo. I have been since 2014. I've trained all sorts of international students. I am the editor and project manager at Lethal Comics with my buddy Bob the Animal Anger, where we write for WWE and Boom Studios. And I'm a very avid fan, very big fan. An avid fan? It doesn't work. I'm a big fan of Magic the Gathering. Thank you.
Ooh. An excellent little summary there. Packaged.
I've done it a lot, yeah. Wait till you hear me plug my social media later.
Yeah, I can.
Oh, yeah. I've got that speech down on greatest hits at this point.
You guys have actually been doing some awesome stuff on Twitch. I know you've got some live wrestling shows that I've been watching. It's so fun because it's small, it's one-on-one. It's just on a mat on the floor, no ring.
That's right.
Just badass, just kicking the shit out of each other. Like, it gets stiff sometimes and stuff. Like, you guys are...
Well, Speedball Mike Bailey. So he's one of the stiffest people in the world.
Well, I mean, this obviously it's not something that I as living in Scotland, I can always get to watch as freely as I would maybe like. But it sounds a little bit like Raw Underground. Did they steal your idea?
So it's not. Raw Underground would be more.
Can I just clarify? I'm totally taking.
No.
I would hate to compare.
Raw Underground was more like the Shakara, like after hour storyline with the Crucible that they were doing. That was like Raw Underground. No, ours is if you know DDT in Japan, one of their sister companies is Choco Pro, and they do fighting in this classroom, elementary school style room that looks not dissimilar to ours because it's directly inspired by it. I wouldn't call it a ripoff because that's the only similarity. However, it's we set up judo mats in Lethal Studios in downtown Montreal, and it's no ring matches, mostly done for fun on Twitch to take advantage of the medium of professional wrestling. I think that's something that is being done more and more and being explored more and more, and is lending itself to the popularity of professional wrestling these days. Because whenever somebody says, "You know that's fake, right?" Like, I mean, if we are doing a Hattle Royale where the point is to remove the hats of your opponents, yes, we understand that it might not be an actual fight. Thank you.
I mean, this week I saw pillow fighting. There's a pillow fighting league. And smacking
they've had that for years, though. I mean, that's just...
guys wrestle blow-up dolls.
First time I've seen
that blow-up doll, put some respect on that name. It's a former DDT Iron Metal heavyweight champion, okay?
You're right. My apologies. But
yeah, but I do more serious TV for IWS. We do a it's a weekly hour-long TV show on the Fight Network. You can get it on Fight Network Canada, USA, and in the UK on Skynet. Friday nights, 8 o'clock, directly competing with AEW. You gotta love it, but that's okay. It's still a really awesome show. Right now, we are doing recap episodes of Season 2, so we're doing Best of Bloodstream. And of last year, we took them and re-edited them in storyline order. So whereas we'd be watching them in show order, now you're watching them in storyline order. So it's each segment from our 5 events that we had put in order with myself hosting and doing throws in between. I think it's a really sweet show. I think I'm biased, obviously, but I think Montreal's... Quebec in general has a lot of really talented individuals, and the amount of people who make it to the United States are really just the tip of the iceberg. And if you look at the people from Quebec who have made it to the United States, you have Kevin Owens, you have Sami Zayn, 2.0, Dark Order, Mike Bailey now as well, PCO, right? These are solid names, and there's quite a bit of talent here in Quebec that has just not been noticed because either they're French or it's obviously harder to get into the United States as a Canadian. But, even just in the IWS, we have guys like Tabarnak team, TDT, who, in my opinion, are one of the best tag teams in the world right now. Matt Angel's in there, Frankie the Mobster, Lufisto, these people who are, these are Quebec wrestlers who are world-class athletes. It's only a matter of time until people notice again.
Absolutely. I've always loved that Montreal and Quebec has such a deep, not only current wrestling scene, but a deep history of wrestling. And it's exciting to always find out a new person is from, like when I found out 2.0 was from Quebec, I marked out all over again. And this is back when they were competing as Everrise on NXT, and they were the fun kind of
two Chateauguay boys
that would come out and get
two boys from Chateauguay.
Exactly. So, and obviously the history, the screw job, and different events seem to have happened in Montreal. And of course, the Royal Rumble, Pat Patterson, the originator of the Royal Rumble, we have him to thank for that too.
I have a great Pat Patterson story. You want to hear it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes.
Let's go. Yes. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
just
you could have said no. What do I know?
Yes.
I don't assume everybody wants to hear me talk. I mean, I guess I'm a guest on a podcast, yes. That is kind of the point, right?
Yes.
I'm sure you never know if we have like a timeline or trying to move things. Whatever.
I don't know. Is there a question, a format? You guys didn't give me a run sheet. What is this, amateur hour? Bunch of jobbers on this thing. Anyway, see, I said the thing. I said the thing, right? I said the thing. All right. So I was in university at the time. There's this bar in downtown Montreal called Ziggys, and Ziggys is kind of like a hole in the wall old man bar, right? But it's awesome. Like, it's wonderful. There's a jukebox there, and like, I had my birthday there this year. It's a really fun little, cute, quaint little spot, you know. And for somebody who's not trying to like listen to the Justin Biebers and not there's anything wrong with that, or the Doja Cats, going to like this kind of environment appeals to me, right? It was also Pat Patterson's favorite bar. And one day I was in university. Now, this was the time where I was traveling with Shakar in the United States on a regular basis. So I'm graduating university and also touring and, like, main eventing the ECW arena. Oh, wait, sorry. I dropped that name.
Wow. What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I
didn't even know that.
I was at this bar in between classes, and I saw Pat Patterson was there. I was like, gotta say hi to Pat Patterson. Like, I'm nobody nothing in wrestling, right? Like.
But you recognized him right away.
Of course, it's Pat Patterson. Well,
Good.
I walk up to him and I'm still going to shoot my shot because like it's Pat Patterson, you know. Like the WWE was not as accessible as it is now when I was starting, 15, 20 years ago. Like if you did not look like Randy Orton, you were not getting a look. So like it wasn't a possibility. So I'm like, oh, I need to shoot this shot, right? I walk up and I introduce myself. I say, hello, Mr. Patterson. Can I buy you a drink? And he says, I have a drink. I go, okay, well, but like, I know he doesn't want to talk to me now, but I'm still gonna shoot my shot because Pat Patterson's in front of me, and like, I want to be a wrestler, right? Like, so I say to him, oh, okay, I understand. Well, sir, I just want to say that I have a lot of respect for you for what you've done in professional wrestling, and I actually a wrestler myself. And look, I don't want to bother you or anything, but I was just wondering, would you have any advice for me as an up and coming wrestler? And Pat Patterson doesn't even look at me, bro. He's just like, I don't know how to advise you. I've never seen you before. What do you want me to do? And I was just like, thank you very much, Mr. Patterson. You have a great night now.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
He was clearly not having it, and I approached anyway. That's on me. That's on me, you know? Like, when he didn't open his body up to the conversation, it's pretty clear this dude was just trying to have a solitary beer in the afternoon. Did not want to talk to anybody. But, like, I gotta shoot my shot.
So,
Of course.
roughly what year?
2007, maybe? Yeah, 2006, 2007.
Just try to picture
Yeah,
the time.
it's
okay.
And no, Pat Patterson's not like there's no NXT yet, right? There's no, like, OVW is not a big thing yet. I think there's still, like, HWA is developmental and, like, Smoky Mountain at this point.
Right.
They don't sign 5'7" gingers from Montreal. That's not possible.
Unless you had some sort of incredible body work, they would have wanted tapes. You have to send in the tapes and go through that process.
It was a whole, like, Tough Enough is not even a thing yet, right? It's a whole thing. Yeah. So obviously this man is like, who is this? You're never going to get in wrestling. What are you doing? Go away. And I was just like, you know what, man? That's on me. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I bothered you. Okay, fair enough.
Some of the best advice you ever got was actually not getting any advice from Pat Patterson. But
it was in a way, because I was that taught me, like, yes, shoot your shot, but also you can't follow, like, this would have been the right thing to do, theoretically. However, he clearly was not interested. And so in a political sense, like, it would have been better for me to say nothing at all. But I, as an enthusiastic youngster, was like, I have to do this. And that tempered me moving forward. Now, whether or not that led to more success is up in the air. But either way, it's a really good story to tell on podcasts. So, yeah, that's it. Yeah, so I got something out of it, and that was good.
So you've kind of mentioned that we don't have any kind of plan for tonight, and you're absolutely right.
You're absolutely right.
And that's mostly, I'm not going to piss around and pretend that we do. We don't. We just kind of ask questions, and we're going to see what happens. And if it ends up being listenable to other people, then fucking ace. If it's not, well, listen anyway and deal with it, all right? It's the Four Jobbers podcast. Welcome.
A lot of times we do have a format. We set it up, but we
whatever, man.
We talk Rumble? You know, are we talking Rumble too?
It trumps everything.
Yeah, we'll talk Rumble later on.
I'm an expert level storyteller. We'll make it work. Don't. Yeah.
There we go. Exactly. I had a couple of questions though. So, you know, growing up for me, as a Scotsman, there wasn't a lot of Scottish influence growing up, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. I'm sorry, Roddy Piper, you're not Scottish. You can pretend to be as much as you want, but you are Canadian. You're not Scottish. Love you, but you're not, mate. So for me, it was quite difficult to like find somebody that I gravitated towards other than the big names in wrestling, right? Because I just watched them on TV and I was like, fuck, this guy's sick because he's got chest hair or whatever, right?
That's how I got over to it.
Yeah, right? I mean, that's pretty much it. I was like, 8 when I started growing chest hair? I don't know. I developed pretty early. But, you know, when you're growing up, you know, you're watching wrestling at a reasonable hour rather than me at 1 a.m. Who did you admire? Who were the guys that were like, yeah, I want to be like that. I want to get involved in wrestling because of this guy or whatever?
Okay, so I always liked the smaller, faster guys more than the main eventers, which makes me a wrestling hipster, and I absolutely hate it. But regardless,
a bunch of marks, man. You can mark out on any.
You know, like I get it, but like it's a smart mark thing. I don't even like the term smart mark. It's an oxymoron. It's not possible to be a smart mark. Mark implies that you're not in on it, and you can't be smart to it. Anyway. Sorry, I got on a tangent there. I was a big Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels fan, and my first ever live event was actually the Screwjob in '97. My dad had taken me, and I had
that was your first live event. That's ridiculous.
My first premium live event. Is that what we're
people say this isn't real?
Right,
it's obviously real.
So so that's not actually true. It's the first live event I remember because my grandfather was a towel boy at the Forum, and like. You know, he would like, this is like a long time ago, so I was probably there at some point. But like, the Screwjob is really my first like wrestling experience. That makes sense? Yeah. And I was a fan of both Bret and Shawn. And like, I think I was like 8 at the time. You know, I didn't understand the Canada versus USA thing. I didn't know what nationalism was yet. I didn't care. Like, it was just, I knew there was baby faces and there was heels, but I liked the smaller guys. So I had signs for both Bret and Shawn. I remember my dad confiscating my Shawn sign at one point because people were yelling at us about it. And so as soon as the Screwjob happens, my dad kind of got the vibe that something wasn't right. And he ushers us out of there like right away. And I'm just confused about why so many people are angry. I did not understand, but I'm a child, right? I was like, this is a sick match. What's the problem, boys? Didn't get to see, like, the iconic thing like this, because my dad was like, we gotta go. People are gonna fight. And I was like, all right, well, whatever. So those guys, and then like I was a bigger WCW guy growing up than I was a WWF guy because I'm in that era. I was more of an NWA WCW guy. During the Monday Night Wars, I was a big Nitro guy. So Chris Jericho and Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, those again makes me a fucking hipster. And then I loved ECW as well as it was coming up, and I liked Rob Van Dam quite a bit, and I liked Taz a lot.
Really? It's Taz!
A lot of the times, it would be whichever person, wrestler I could collect in WWF Raw Deal, the card game. I don't know if you guys ever played that, but they had a card game, and if I could get like their foil card, they became my new favorite wrestler.
For sure.
I've always gravitated more towards storyline based, like comic booky stuff. So like Undertaker's feud with Warrior and Papa Shango and stuff like that. And then moving on to like Ministry of Darkness stuff, like really did it for me. Kane did it a lot for me. The whole story of like early Kane, which I then got to fill in for WWE comic books. One of the books that Andy Belanger, the artist, and I did was 10 pages about Kane and Undertaker in the burning building as children. And that like WWE gave that out at their stockholders meeting in 2019. And that was like super cool because I had a direct influence on something that I watched growing up.
That's great.
And we put ourselves in the book as cameos, as like detectives. Always be working, brother. Always be working.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've appeared in 2 WWE comic books in the background, thanks to Andy.
What the fuck?
So technically,
So
superstar Shayne Hawke did WWE, which makes me a WWE superstar forever.
There we
You're in the
go.
canon.
Yeah.
let's go.
It's
It's
canon.
in there.
It's canon.
Take it.
Um,
Yeah. Even if you had to write
So,
it yourself, let's go.
And I'd fucking do it again. I would do it again.
A chance to
Yeah.
plug him in there.
absolutely,
What's his
absolutely.
Instagram again?
Who? Me?
The artist.
Oh, Andy Belanger.
Well, Andy's. It's just Andy
Yeah.
at Andy
Yeah.
Belanger. Okay, cool. Yeah, check it out, guys, if you want to see some amazing artwork.
Yeah, there's some really cool stuff on there. We're right now working on his comic book, Mother Trucker 2. Mother Trucker is a comic book series about intergalactic truckers who fight for shipping routes using monster trucks that become like rings, like sci-fi wrestling rings. Very cool stuff. Very talented guy. But back to like who I watched growing up. Always like tag team wrestling more than singles. Absolute favorite wrestler of all time is Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I liked the younger people. I liked the smaller guys because they reminded me of who I was. As I started getting older, though, as I started becoming a wrestler, one of the things they tell you when you're a wrestler is to wrestle like the wrestler you look like, or the wrestler that you resemble, and not the wrestler you want to be, right? Like, I wanted to be Shawn Michaels, but I'm clearly not Shawn Michaels. So as I got older, I started to gravitate more towards Japanese stuff, like the King's Road series with Kobashi and Misawa and Kawada. And then also like Fit Finlay, William Regal. I'm a grappler and a striker. So those kind of like bruiser people really appealed to me. And I would study them the most. Now that I'm further on in my career, I watch mostly old wrestling. I'll watch all the new stuff too for fun, or like to see my pals or whatever. But also like wrestling is super awesome right now. There's a lot of really cool wrestling, even though like there are some mistakes out there. There's a lot of really fun wrestling. There's a product for everybody right now. But I will study older stuff because I like to marry old school psychology with new school moves. And there are a lot of people who do that really well. The Young Bucks are a prime example of that. How if you actually watch it and break it down into like Shine, Heat, Comeback, they tease every single false finish, and there's callbacks in every single thing that they do. And people who say that the Young Bucks are just spot wrestlers just don't understand wrestling. I don't know. Maybe one of you guys said that before, but it's very clearly structured what they're doing.
Jason's bro.
Yeah.
Jason, who's your boy that's talking shit about
Jim Cornette.
Oh, you're a corny man, huh? You're a corny man.
Well, I mean, I just discovered him recently that he has a podcast, and I'm enjoying it. I'm not saying I agree with everything he says, but he's very entertaining.
Yeah, that's
very
kind of
entertaining.
that's fair. That's fair. I have opinions.
He's not a fan of the Young Bucks, obviously.
He's not
No,
a fan
yeah.
of.
Not like
He
the
calls Kenny Omega Twinkle Toes.
He calls him, no, there is sprinkled to something, though. Oh, Kenny Olivier. That's what he calls him.
Kenny Olivier.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kenny Olivier.
The Young Bucks, I don't think he likes them either. They have beef. I don't really know the history of it. I think they got beef.
It's a work.
Is it? Okay.
Jim Cornette's whole act is a work. He's just like
You think
the
so?
negative.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
Sure, I mean, surely, yeah, there's got to be a gimmick.
He makes so much money. There's for sure. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Get him.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, look, if it's a work, it's a good work. I'm not going to take that away from the guy. He's a millionaire. He's much richer than I am. Don't like everything that he says, but like...
Just an angry old man.
It's funny because I remember him as a kid watching him, like the manager of Owen Hart and Yokozuna and Camp Cornette. And I always hated him. Like, obviously, you're supposed to. He's a heel. I was a kid. I'm like, who is this loser? Like, I don't like this guy. And just seeing him, like, now so differently, even though he's doing the same shtick, you know, he's still got the same character. I don't know. I just find it really entertaining.
I mean, some people like to watch car crashes. Some people like to watch torture porn. Some people listen to Jim Cornette.
No, I wouldn't. No, I don't like that. But
I hope Cornette comes at me now. Tweet at me, Jim Cornette. I challenge you to let me get some of your clout.
Jobbers listener, Jim Cornette, known for Jobbers listener.
That will entirely be to get a percentage of your audience's attention. So, fuck you, Jim Cornette. Isolate that.
There we go.
there's the clip.
Clip it.
Bart clip. There we go. In terms of like, so some of the more mainstream product, you've got things like New Japan, AEW, WWE. I'd even include TNA Impact in there.
You should.
What do you gravitate
Currently?
towards? What's your current product that when, you know, if you just want to almost relax, it's not about work, it's about relaxing. I want to watch some wrestling. What do you gravitate?
Okay, so I don't gravitate towards to any particular company. I think that's silly. I think that having affiliation for any company that I don't work for or that I have no monetary interest in is kind of just silly.
Yep.
AEW sexuals versus WWE stands or what have you. Like, grow up. Anyway.
Yeah, Jordan, grow up. Sexual.
Grow up. I mean, you can love a company. That's cool, but, like, are you going to go online and argue with people for liking New Japan? Like, probably not. No. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I'd want to
it
know
depends
what
how
they
many
like
drinks
about
I've
it.
had, but
anyway, so
I'm a Scotsman. I like arguing.
That's
What can I
fair.
say? Like, tell me.
Argue in the pub and not on the Twitter. My God.
Yeah, not online.
Twitter.
No. Always
What a
face
waste
to
of
face.
time
Always
arguing
face to
online.
face.
Anyway, sorry, I'm going to get distracted again. Now, that being said, I like a lot of particular acts right now.
Okay.
I love, like, we'll start right at the top. I think Roman Reigns is doing the best work of his career right now. I think it's super entertaining. I've always been a Roman guy since The Shield, even when people were like, he's so overrated, and he's always getting pushed, and it's not fair, and why is he always getting a Shut the fuck up.
He wasn't very good, but now he is.
He's always been good. He's always been having sick matches and selling his ass off.
Now. He's in God mode now.
Right, like...
his character,
I'm saying. He's always been good in the ring. I'm talking about his character.
Right, absolutely. But even his, like, in-ring work has improved. Like, his footwork has improved in the ring. He's firing on all cylinders right now. And then on the same tier, I also really like Brock. I like Cowboy Brock. I find that very entertaining.
Cowboy Brock.
Yeah, I like
Cowboy
Viking
Brock.
hair Brock. Super fun.
Yes.
I love Brock Lesnar, like, as a dude.
He's Canadian Brock.
That's right. I love Canadian Brock.
Cowboy Brock. I mean, he's Canada Brock.
This is super, like, that's a super fun act to me. I will absolutely watch that. In WWE, I like Bianca Belair a lot. I think that she's really good. So I tend to watch her stuff, unless it's somebody who I'm really not interested in watching. Let's see. I mean, Becky Lynch was doing it for me, but I'm not super feeling the new big-time Bex. But that doesn't take away from how good she is in the ring. And, like, Sasha Bex, same thing. So, like, I'll watch the matches.
It's something we try to stay away from on this podcast is, like, shitting on people's in-ring work.
Yeah.
We're not wrestlers.
Right.
We can't comment on people's wrestling.
Well, I feel like I can.
But I think
noticeably, you can. 100%,
you can.
And you
have.
I'm allowed to do
on your
that.
resume.
Yeah, I
You're
teach
allowed.
it to people, yeah.
Talking about us,
Yeah.
the four jobbers
But that's-
are not qualified to be commenting.
Right.
On it.
No.
You please do. And when we
good.
do, it's like, if we're making fun of someone, we always say
I went to
not on the wrestling.
I mean, I went to a few months of wrestling school, and then I got a sore back, and I never went back again. So even I'm not able to comment on it. But to be fair, we've never really said the in-ring ability of most of the people that we shit on is that bad. It's about the story. It's about the character that surrounds that match.
So,
you know?
Sami Zayn, fantastically entertaining right now.
That's my boy.
My professional wrestling teacher, Sami Zayn. Let's just make that happen again.
What?
I was trained by
There
Sami
we go.
Zayn.
There we go.
I was trained in the IWS by Beef Wellington and Sami Zayn. Yeah.
That's just wild.
There's a picture. I don't know if you've seen it, Brad. It's on my social media, or Ginger Heat. Sorry, I shoot named you.
No, call me.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But there's a picture of me when I was like 14 at wrestling school with Sami Zayn, who's like I think 16 at the time, and then Beef Wellington was like 18. And I've got like individual spikes and like a flame shirt. It's very 2003. It's good. It's good.
I'm sure I've seen that picture. I didn't even realize it was Sami Zayn.
Yeah, he looks super young in it.
Like,
but I think he's pound for pound the best professional wrestler in the world, and also is super entertaining right now. Kevin's doing really good stuff too.
have you met Kevin before as well?
You mean former IWS World Heavyweight Champion Kevin Owens? Yes, I have.
There it is.
So
Again, just drop.
So Kevin and I have known each other for a very long time. His first match outside of Rougeau, because Kevin was with Jacques Rougeau, and Jacques wanted to sign him to an exclusive contract and offer him a spot on Heat, I think it was. And Kevin said no to go do independent and go do IWS. And like his first show outside was at MWF in Valleyfield, which was actually my first MWF show as well. And this was 2003. No, 2002. I think it's like November 2002. And I had like just gotten in touch with IWS, and for that show, the main event was Sami Zayn as Stevie McCool against Fred Lamerveille, local wrestler. Yeah, excellent. Stevie McCool. Came out to Beastie Boys Fight for Your Right to Party. Very good stuff. Yeah.
Of course.
Because he was cool. Oh, no, sorry, it wasn't Stevie McCool. It was Stevie McFly. Pardon me, I was wrong. But Stevie McFly's even better.
It is. That's great.
And against this other guy, Damien. And they were in a triple threat match. And Sami Zayn sees me and beckons me to the curtain and says, like, hey, you want to take a crowd spot? And I was like, yeah, absolutely I do. I'm 12 years old. I want to be in wrestling. Yeah, sure. So I was there with my buddy, and so they did like a fall away slam into the crowd deal. And it was onto my buddy and I, who were 14 at the time. So just like flattened two 14-year-old kids, obviously. I take the bump, and obviously like...
Welcome to the world of wrestling, kids.
So I'm selling my ass off, obviously, right? Because this is my first... I'm like, I'm going to prove to everybody that I'm the best wrestler ever in like Laval, Quebec. But they get up and they start fighting other places. And then I just hear behind me like, huh, nice bump, buddy. And I look up, and it's Kevin Owens. And that's how Kevin Owens and I met. I've had... I wrote his comic for WWE, for one thing. Like the Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, nice. The KO comic. I wrote that, which is cool.
Do you have one?
Yeah, I do. I have... I mean, they're on my wall, but...
No, you don't have to take them down. I was just wondering if you have them all.
Yeah, I've got all my comics.
Like they go...
I got all my comics. I try to get a copy of everything that I've published.
Nice.
So Kevin and I, we became buddies. We talked on MSN Messenger. He used to work overnight at a gas station, and I have insomnia, so we would talk till like 4 a.m. about dumb bullshit. Wrestling mostly. I wrestled him quite a few times. I think like 3 or 4 times. One match, we had a singles match in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu, Quebec. And my dad came to it. And Kevin had just gotten back from his first run in the United States and was extremely stiff at the time. Because at the time that like strong style indie was like all the rage. So everybody was just hitting each other for real like a bunch of idiots. And he beat the shit out of me in front of my dad. And at one point... my dad starts to think it's real and is like gonna jump into the ring, and on the fly Kevin has to call an audible to like throw me out to my dad so I can call to him like, no, it's okay, it's a work, don't worry, and then get back to fighting, because like dude was gonna get into the ring.
Go ahead, Kevin Owens. Fucking beat him up.
He beat me up good. We had a couple other singles, a couple other like triple threat matches, stuff like that. It was good. He beat the shit out of me a lot, you know. But he's a really great wrestler. And then
I mean, that's a pretty good claim to fame. Kevin Owens beat the shit
multiple
out of me.
times, baby.
There we go.
Yeah, Sami Zayn trained me. Kevin beat me up. So I don't know who to root for in that feud. That's for sure.
It must have been crazy for you to see them two working together, though. They got major packages in WWE.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Together.
It's wonderful.
They put on some of the best matches I've ever seen in NXT. And
when Sami Zayn wrestles Neville at our Evolution and has like that big breakout moment, that was super fun for me. Kevin's debut also, where he turns on Sami Zayn, very fun for me.
Is it a powerbomb on the is the
apron
ring
bomb
actually harder at the edge there?
Yeah,
Does it hurt more?
It
actually hurts more.
The ring apron is harder in that, like, it's a corner.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, depending on the ring,
Basic physics, Brad. Basic physics.
basically, yeah. Like, the shockwave of the ring is supposed to go to the middle, right? So either you have a spring or you have beams that are on top of each other. Like, IWS's ring doesn't have a spring. We have the interlocking beams, which is more Japanese style. So, like, the idea is that the shockwave is supposed to go outwards, but it stops at the edge of the ring. So if you're taking a bump on the apron, does it kill you? No, but it absolutely hurts more. That being said,
especially on the back, you want to protect your back as a wrestler. If you're taking a bump outside, then you're taking.
If you take a bump,
I've seen you take some nasty back.
No, it's not the back that you're worried about on the apron. It's the coccyx. You overshoot that, you break your tailbone. You were not sitting for like months. Yeah. I've seen it happen. I seen it, and it was not pretty. Not pretty.
My ass. Yeah. My ass.
My hole.
My hole. My hole.
Oh God.
No.
Excellent.
Did I answer your question? I don't know. I don't remember. I started talking. I hope I did.
That's beautiful.
Great.
Yeah, I loved it.
It was perfect.
I'm just giving you anecdotes and name dropping. Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah.
That's what we need. We need little nuggets that we can
Enjoy
drop
your-
on social
Let me
media.
live vicariously through
Enjoy
you.
your sound bites, motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if WWE can do it, they put 3 hours of a Raw out, and actually it's only about 5
Right.
minutes of sound bites, so we
There
can
you
do
go.
it as well, right? You know. So we had a question that we were kind of talking about before you jumped on with us. So in the last few years, there's been the Dark Side of the
Yep.
Ring, right? Documentary. Have you watched it?
Yeah, when Evan Husney, the showrunner, first started casting for it, he was put in touch with me to do the casting for the Canadian side of things. And then I sent out a bunch of stuff, and then he went with somebody else, and then the show got happened. So yeah, no. That's my
Okay.
tertiary touching of Dark Side of the Ring.
Fair.
Yes, I know the stories. Anyway, carry on, please. Yes.
But the fact that you'd be considered is pretty crazy. Even like
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah, like I helped cast guys for the Bruiser Brody episode with Abdullah.
I love that episode. Great episode.
Right. So like, I had some fingerprint on it, but like literally just like a finger.
We bring this up out of nowhere randomly, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I started doing the cast." You have your.
I've been around for 20 years, guys. I've done a lot of things.
How many people are around for 20 years and don't have the stories?
You're right.
Have? There's a lot of people.
You're
out
right.
there that don't
I am an international level talent.
Let's fucking
Anyway,
go.
so there's Dark Side of the Ring. Ask me about my dead friends. Let's go.
I shouldn't laugh. Sorry. So my question was going to be, obviously, with things like Dark Side of the Ring, the emphasis on pro wrestling just now is the reality side of it. It's about seeing what it's actually like, but obviously that is usually still a work in some respect. Okay, with shows like Dark Side of the Ring, we're actually getting to see, or we're getting at least one side of a story about a particular series of events. What do you think about that? Is honestly my question. Like, as a fan of wrestling, forget anything other than I am just a guy who likes watching wrestling. for me to have that kind of insider knowledge into some of the events, is that something that I need? Is it something that, does it take away from pro wrestling?
Okay, so I think I understand your question. And my answer for you, so you mentioned how some things are still kayfabe, and then like even when it's like a shoot, they're kind of still in kayfabe. I think that it wasn't Dark Side of the Ring so much that added this extra level of kayfabe. I call them the like tiers of kayfabe, like TIERS, or just levels, not like crying kayfabe.
Got you.
There's like social media is what first launched this layer of kayfabe. You as a fan, if it interests you and it's something that holds your attention, absolutely it has value. I think that the days of this is all for real, kayfabe brother, are done.
Still real to me, damn it.
Right. That's been done for a very long time, and I think, to be honest with you, a lot of wrestlers that you will speak to will have no problem admitting that it's a work. But just because it's a work doesn't mean that it's not extremely difficult, extremely taxing, and extremely creative. If you fake a smile when you're sad, your brain will fire the same hormones as when you smile for real. So I ask you, really, what is real in terms of kayfabe? What does that mean, like philosophically, right? Philosophically speaking, if what you're seeing is generating a very real emotional reaction from you, if those same hormones and neurons are firing, then how is that any different than, say, watching a movie in the movie theater? Well, I'll tell you how it's different, actually. Because in the movie theater, if you go to watch Avengers Endgame and you yell at Captain America to run away from Thanos, he does not change his plan. However, in a pro wrestling show, if you are watching it and you yell some dumb shit, you bet that somebody's going to turn around and say something to your face. The creator and the fan create the content in wrestling together. It's a communal, combined effort. That's the big difference of pro wrestling and why it's the last bastion of Shakespearean theater. It's the creator and audience coming together to like form a Voltron, a better story together. So I think that the audience's opinion in its way is its own form of kayfabe, especially if we take in like online narratives. So when I say layers of kayfabe, I mean first you see what's on TV, right? That's one thing. And then you have social media. Because the person on social media is most likely not actually how that person is in real life. They're still playing a character and selling a product, right? Yeah. So we have that. Then you have shoot interviews that are oftentimes worked shoot, and like you said before, only one side of the story. Now, I'm going to recall this story as it best suits me and best puts me over. So really, you're not getting the same signal that I'm communicating to you. You're interpreting it through your own experience, right? So now we start getting into different levels of communicative theory. And then we can keep going on and on. And I really like to talk about this stuff because I'm a huge nerd about it. But regardless, having things like Dark Side of the Ring, they're not detriments to the business, in my opinion. They're ways to expand our creativity. It's design space. Once we get this Dark Side of the Ring thing, I can then tell a story based on somebody who has seen Dark Side of the Ring. I don't have to be worried about it taking away from anything. All it does is add to the canon now. So I don't have to pretend that I'm a real fighter, but I am. I'm a badass dude. I could probably kick your ass. I've been doing 20 years of martial arts. I work out like a mutt, sure, but also I'm a roided up theater kid. And I don't take roids, but you understand the analogy, right? Yo, imagine Shayne Hawke on steroids. Forget it.
Wow, that's my
forget it, bro.
What are you waiting for?
Let's go. No, I'm all natty, baby. I have mental illness and don't want to risk that. But so like these Dark Side of the Rings or like shoot interviews or like the reality shows, stuff like that.
Or even a show like Heels, let's say. I don't know if you've seen
I love Heels. I loved Heels. And even Heels is in kayfabe. Because, like, I actually got really, well, I'm not mad at my girlfriend, but I was ripping on my girlfriend because in the opening scene, like, there's the pregnant woman who, like, describes kayfabe, right? And my girlfriend, she's like, I know you're a wrestler, so I want to learn a lot about wrestling, which is why she wanted to watch this show. But she was just getting mad because the pregnant woman who was in that wants her husband wrestler to stop wrestling. And completely didn't listen to the explanation of kayfabe, which was the whole point of the scene. And so I had to rip on her every single time, and now I'll just call kayfabe to her until she figures it out. I'll be like, yo, K5. But yeah, like I'm saying, like it's wrestling in itself is such a unique artistic medium now that it's all referential, and it's postmodern. Like wrestling is postmodern performance art, and postmodern breaks the fourth wall consistently to the point where the fourth wall can be a character. So the kayfabe of pro wrestling is now the same kayfabe as comic books, as movies. Deadpool can turn and talk to the camera, and you don't go, Ryan Reynolds sucks, this is fake, because Ryan Reynolds doesn't suck, he rules. In the same way, you can do anything in storytelling, you can do anything in wrestling. We had a Battle Royale match. We had on Friday Night Speedball, Veda Scott and I switched clothing and pretended that we were each other, and then wrestled the Voros twins, and we did twin magic to win the match. Like,
but then who made it with Mike after?
What's that?
But then who made it with Mike after them?
Kayfabe.
I would have been
Kayfabe. So yeah, like I think that if there's an audience for it at this point, that wrestling has evolved in such a way that we have an entire spectrum of wrestling content out there, right? You have everything from Jim Cornette to, like, whatever the opposite of Jim Cornette is. The Young Bucks, let's say. Like, because that was not a bit on Jim Cornette. That wasn't, like, I was not setting up a joke.
Is Russo the opposite? Vince Russo versus Cornette? That's, like, the two...
Oh, yeah, he hates Vince Russo. Vince Russo, like, a lot of stuff... the more theatrical stuff, the more out there, like, storylines.
Right.
Like, Vince Russo, opposite Cornette. Yeah.
Okay, so in that sense, yes.
Like you said before.
But, like, also Jim Cornette loves Danhausen. So...
Oh, really?
Jim Cornette loves Danhausen.
It can be done properly, I guess, even in his eyes.
So yeah, give me Dark Side of the Ring. Give me Being the Elite, or what is that? It Being the Elite. That's our show called. Yeah. Give me that. Give me that shit for sure.
And like on that note, you're saying about story, you can do whatever you want, and that's what drives me crazy sometimes. As an actor, someone that loves story as well. That's what I love the most about wrestling. Sure, I was an athlete, so I like the athletic side of it, but the story. And what drives me crazy is sometimes you can do whatever you want. Why are you choosing to do something, whatever?
So
I love for them to.
I also have an opinion on that as well, and I think we're going to segue, which is a word that does not have a W in it. We're going to segue from one question to that, where I say that a lot of times the mistake that people make is assuming wrestling is for them. Wrestling depends on the wrestling, of course, but it always has a specific audience in mind. And, like, people will rag on WWE and be like, oh, why are they doing this very obvious booking decision, for example, right? Or, like, why are they dropping names? Why does everybody only have a single name now? These kind of things. You have to remember that they're playing to the largest possible audience, and they're playing to the lowest common denominator of that audience, and they're probably playing for the kids of that audience. It has to be an overly simplified, archetypal kind of program in order to reach that many people. And I think that
as broad as possible.
Exactly. And I really think that the mistake is assuming that particular wrestling should be for you. I think that's a little bit selfish. I think that if you don't like that kind of wrestling, there's other wrestling for you. There's lots of, like, 18 to 35-year-old male demographic companies. There are queer companies. There are, like, different nationalities for companies, right? There's different sexuality companies, gender companies, all of these different, like, any kind of, like, variation or any kind of category you want to do. There's probably a wrestling federation for it. So a lot of people will take the time to, like, bash things that they don't like. And I understand your frustration, Ginger Heat, when something is just, like, so obvious and you just want to choke them because you're like, why can't you just do that?
It's not even about Yeah, it's not about obvious or choices or who wins and loses. It's more, for me, it's why are these two people fighting is what I want usually. Right?
Which is fair.
Sometimes it's just randomly thrown together. I want, and
It's
I
also
feel like
consistency
people
in rules.
Consistency is important, sure.
But I guess ultimately, though, if we're taking, what we're kind of talking about there is you need to cater to who is your audience, and actually, for you, what matters is the story. But for them, what matters is the marketing of it. And actually, for example, is there any particular reason that I need to see Becky Lynch versus Lita? No, there's no story there. It's just it makes a good marketing campaign.
And that being said, I have seen lots of women's wrestling fans saying that they're going to tune into that Saudi show for the first time ever because that match is there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right?
There we go. There we go. So they have done exactly what they set out to do.
You have to. You're trying to please so many masters at the same time.
Yeah.
That
especially we're talking about the biggest company, right?
Right.
Especially. It's
That's
very
right.
publicly traded, all of that.
But like, there's also so much that'll happen backstage that people don't realize. Like, just one dude being difficult to work with can make them lose a match. I've definitely made decisions in IWS that people have not agreed with, but it's because the guy will come backstage to me and be like, "Hey, I can't work any of your dates for the rest of the year." And I'll be like, "Oh, okay," because like they're booked at other places or whatever. So I'll have to change on the fly. Or like I once had an IWS show where 8 people didn't show up day of the show.
Ooh.
So I had to change everything day of the show. And people were like, "Your booking seemed kind of rushed." And I was like,
Yeah.
Like we did our quarantine sessions in September 2020. We did quarantine sessions for IWS where we did no fan shows, right? And there wasn't any real, like, there was very basic story to it, but no real like meat and potatoes story. But number one, because of the health code at the time, you could only have 6 people. So we could only ever have 25 people in the building at once, including tech and crew. I had to schedule my wrestlers in pods of 4 people because you could only have 4 people working together. We needed to make multiple months of TV out of this. So what we had to do was have each wrestler in the same pod wrestle each other in a round robin. That had to happen 4 different times throughout the day. We got there at 6 a.m. and we left at 2 a.m. the next day. Now, people were like, well, why didn't you just book those storylines in the pods, right? Well, at the time, we were on both RDS and Fight Network, and the matches were being shown in different order, with different commentary. So we had to be mostly generic, because the product had to fit 2 different networks in 2 different languages, with only 4 people in the building at once.
Oh my God.
Right. Logistically, it was a nightmare. But then people are like, I thought it was kind of plain. And I'll be like, you're right. That's all. Like, okay, fine. But what choice did we have? None. We did the best we could. And a lot of things in wrestling are like that. We're like, hey, I'm not going to defend everything in wrestling, obviously, because there's a lot of dumb shit out there, let's be honest. But a lot of the times, a lot of the decisions that people like really shit on online or stuff like that have so much more to do with what is happening backstage, because you can't trust dirt sheets, right? Dirt sheets, for the most part, are just hearsay. And sometimes they get it right, but I consider dirt sheet writers the weatherman in professional wrestling. Like, they're often wrong, right? Yeah. But like, sometimes they're right, so we still look at what they're saying. And like, it's kind of fun, so sure, So much happens backstage in wrestling that you know nothing about. You will never know nothing about. I will know nothing about, to influence the way things play out. And a lot of this is even contrary to popular, internet narratives. Like how the internet is not sure if Triple H is holding people back or pushing people forward. We're not sure. It's always one or the other, but we don't know. Or like how everything good is Triple H and everything bad is Vince. Like, it's not possible. But people get fixated on these narratives, and again, that's another layer of kayfabe. The dirt sheet narrative is another layer of kayfabe, and we have people making, again, thousands of dollars portraying these characters. You think,
Yeah.
what's his name, Sean Ross Sapp? You think his Twitter persona is the same as he is in real life? No.
I hope
Not a
not.
chance. But he's making it work.
Yeah.
Kayfabe. Whole
So-
world's kayfabe.
Yo,
The world.
you know what they say, right?
The world is wrestling.
Wrestling is real. Everything else is fake.
I agree. 'Cause
The
you know
world
what
is
wrestling
fake.
So good.
Everyone else is pretending, but
Yep.
wrestling is what it is.
At least I'm being honest about pretending.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
How about that, you know? At least I'm honestly saying I'm working.
100%.
Most people, when they're putting on their face for the world, their mask on the world, they're not honest about working.
That's fair.
Deep.
Fun question here. Jason obviously is a music expert, but what's your favorite theme song of all time and maybe now? Other than your own, which is obviously.
What is my theme song, Ginger Heat?
Which is obviously.
Why can't we be friends?
It's not the song. No.
That would be a good one, though.
I use Shortchange Hero by The Heavy as a heel, and as a babyface I use Blood of Bannockburn by Sabaton. Raw metal.
Maybe I think of the producer's song.
I don't know. That song is like some 80s synthwave bullshit. I don't. Anyway, whatever. Favorite of all time, man. Oof. Am I talking like to sing or to listen to, or is it overall?
The one that hits.
The one that hits it, it
The one
matches
that when-
their
when it-
character
when it-
perfectly.
All right, so
You're
it's
like,
Stone Cold Steve Austin's music with the
Can't go
glass
wrong with that.
shatters.
Can't
OG.
go wrong with that. You can never hear a
and-
glass shatter without thinking Austin. That's it.
No, impossible. And then let's see, for current era,
Yeah.
And that feeling. If you were at a show and you heard the glass break, whether you knew it was coming or not.
somebody's gonna get their ass kicked. I don't know. I don't really know too many current music things.
Yeah, a lot of them they don't have. I mean, they're doing a lot of generic stuff, at least in WWE. AEW's got a bit more. I mean, there's always like classics, Randy Orton, you know.
I hear
Yeah,
voices.
Edge.
yeah. Let's go with that. Voices. I too hear voices in my head, and they
they
counsel
talk to
me.
you.
They understand. They talk to
Inner
me.
Saboteur. Any advice for up and coming wrestlers on the scene, and maybe segue that into, you know, obviously someone that's dealt with mental health issues. Any advice for someone coming up in the wrestling world on that front? As well?
Wow, that's a real two-pronged question there, Ginger Heat.
I know. It's important.
Advice to
I know it's off the top of your
advice to up and coming wrestlers to start. Number one, take care of your body. Get into shape. As much as we want to be body positive and accepting, professional wrestling is an aesthetic telegenetic business. Get into shape. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to be steroided up and have washboard abs and fake boobs. That's not what I'm saying in any way, shape, or form. I'm saying you need to be in good enough shape to go through a full wrestling match and not blow up, pick people up, slam them safely, jump off things, run the ropes, etc. You must do these things, and you must do them safely. I've definitely failed people from the IWS dojo where I teach because they were unable to complete the opening cardio, which was not that taxing. But if you can't do 50 squats, chances are good that a minute 12 in a match, your legs might fail. So, number one for new wrestlers, get your ass into shape right now. Start.
Great advice.
Number two is something Pete Dunne said at a seminar at the IWS dojo that I really enjoyed.
Waxman's boy.
So we've had Pete Dunne British Strong Style over several times. And Pete Dunne said, don't go on Twitter and be a cunt. Don't be a cunt on Twitter. He was saying just watch your social media. People are looking for that shit. Remember that it's an extension of you. It's a product that you're selling. It's a layer of kayfabe. Don't be spouting dumbass Twitter arguments. People are looking at that shit. Shouldn't even have to be said, but like, don't be homophobic or racist or, just don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. And I think that segues into my third piece of advice, which is be very nice to everybody. People want to work with the people who are nice to be around. If you want to be a professional wrestler, you should go out of your way to be nice to other people. We often hear that wrestling is a competition as to who can outsell the other person. You should be doing that in your personal life as well by being kind to people. I think those are my... Oh, yeah, number 5. So we've got the body. We've got the social media. We've got be nice. So no, it's number 4, actually. Number 4. And that would be to just work your ass off and never stop learning. There is something called the Dunning-Kruger effect, where the more that we learn about something, when we first start learning about it, we think we know a lot because we don't realize how much more there is to learn. When it comes to professional wrestling, even I am still learning to this day, and I do this for a living for 20 years. The minute you stop thinking that you have to train in pro wrestling is when you should hang up your boots. I see students come and they'll be like, oh, I've done 3 months of school, I know how to wrestle now, I'm a wrestler. No, you're not. If you're in the NHL, you're still going to practice. If you're in the NFL, you're a professional athlete, you're still going to practice. NBA, going to practice. All professional athletes still practice on a regular basis, except for professional wrestlers. Weird. The ones who love it and get obsessed with it and train their asses off, they're the good ones. They're the ones who are really good. You can still see Mustafa Ali training in the ring all the time on his social media. As soon as you think you're too good to not train anymore, and I'm not saying you have to, like, be ring crew for your whole career, and I'm not saying, like, you have to be a bump dummy for other people. I'm saying you need to keep in shape and you need to be practicing at all times. You can't let that shit rust off. It shows in your performance. If you want to be a good wrestler, you need to get in as many reps as you can. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice every single time. People don't practice. They think, oh, I know how to wrestle now. I'm a wrestler. I can go wrestle once a month and I'm good. And it's like, not if you want to go anywhere, no. And so now we'll move on to the mental health question. Do I have any mental health advice for up-and-coming professional wrestlers? And number 1 piece of advice, don't be ashamed to talk about that shit. And be honest about that shit. Be super honest with yourself and be real about it. If you think you are not in the right frame of mind to go out to the ring, do not go out to the ring. The days of put some tape on it, brother, and just get out there for an injury are over, and same thing with mental health. We don't do that. And part and parcel for that, I would say, go to fucking therapy, you fools. There's a lot of people who just don't go to therapy because their mental illness lies to them and tells them that they're weak. To that I say, who has your depression ever beat? Who'd they ever beat? Who did your depression ever beat? That little voice in your head that tells you that you're not good enough, like, what did they ever accomplish? Nothing at all. It hurts to go to therapy. It hurts to uncover these issues. You need to be brave enough to go through that. If you're not brave enough to face yourself, imagine what people on the internet are going to do to you. And that's going to bring me to the internet and social media. Look at it as a tool. It is not a journaling device. And do not take these people's opinions too seriously. Do not take advice from somebody... do not listen to the opinion of somebody who you would not take advice from. I can listen to what you're going to say, and I can gauge if you like it or not, but that's not going to make me not sleep at night. Forget it. If you let the opinions of the average internet user influence your wrestling career, you will not last very long in professional wrestling. Because a lot of people are just trolls and just trying to seem cool. And they're pieces of shit who never got off their couch.
Coming from a place of sadness and hurt, a lot of the time it gets projected onto you.
The only reason that you need to drag someone down, is because you already see that they're above you. The end. Take care of your mental health. Get enough sleep. We used to do lots of partying, and fine, that's fine, but know your limits, you know? If you want to be a pro wrestler, your focus needs to be on pro wrestling. If you want it to be a hobby, that's fine too. If you want to be a weekend warrior, okay. Do your thing. But make sure you're being realistic about your goals and how you approach those goals and how much work you're going to put into those goals. And also, like, exposure therapy is very helpful for anxiety. I know there's a lot of people with anxiety who have trouble getting in the ring. Exposure therapy in front of crowds and stuff is very helpful. But please, go to therapy. Take your medication. It doesn't make you weak. If you had cancer and they told you to get chemo to survive longer, you would get the chemo and not think you're weak. Why can't you take your medication? I take my medication every single day, and I still go to therapy now, and I've been, like, stable for about a decade. It's just a matter of body upkeep. If you're willing to keep your body and your muscles in peak physical condition, that also includes your mind. Your mind is a muscle, and you must keep your mind in peak physical condition. And that means treating it of illness. That means taking care of it, not just ignoring these things until they burst. So, therapy, medication. Take your vitamin D during the wintertime if you have mental health problems. It's a huge deal. If you're going to supplement with protein, supplement with vitamin D and zinc as well. We don't get enough sun in the wintertime. That makes a huge impact on our mood. Yeah, no kidding. Like, I don't even get enough sun in the summertime, you know, because spontaneous combustion.
Yes.
And don't be afraid to not to reach out, because that's not what I want. Because I don't like when people post like, oh, if you're feeling sad, you should reach out to me. Or, hey man, if something's wrong, reach out to me. Because somebody going through a depressive episode is not going to be trying to reach out to anybody. They're going to think that they're worthless. They're not going to want that. What you need to do is you need to check in on your friends. So if you know that you have a friend who's confided in you that they're suffering from mental illness, as a good friend and as a good professional colleague, check in on them. See how they're doing. Sometimes just a message like, hey man, what's up? How you doing? Is a big deal. When somebody starts venting to you, ask them what they want from the conversation. Ask them, do you need support right now? Are you solution-oriented right now? Do you want me to just yell at somebody for you right now? Effective communication makes an effective professional wrestler. Not just in how we speak to the camera or how we translate through our moves, but in our interpersonal skills. Like I said, being nice to people. Very, very important. The more pleasant you are to be around, the more people want to work with you. And that also includes taking care of not just your opponent, but everyone in the locker room. So now more than ever is the time to dispose of toxic positivity and fake positivity and to heal for real and to do that work. And that work is messy, and that work is bloody, and that work is, you're in the shit when you're doing that inner healing work that we all have, because we all get traumatized at some time or another. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. If you can do 500 Hindu squats and 100 back bumps, you can go to therapy for an hour. You should. And keeping that, your body as a pro wrestler is your tool, right? If you were a plumber, you'd have your wrenches. If you were a mechanic, you would have your wrenches. All I really know is a tool is wrenches. I'm a wrestler. I don't know. Anyway. But regardless, your body is your tool of your trade. You need to keep it in peak physical condition. Yoga, stretching, regular trips to like the physiotherapist, taking time off when you're injured. We want to rush back because we feel like we're going to lose our spot. But if you rush back, you're only rushing back at 75%. You're not as efficient as if you had waited to be 100 and then come back. The mental game in pro wrestling is so much harder than the physical game. Physical pain is easy to tolerate, honestly, especially when you have adrenaline. It takes a lot more strength to tolerate mental distress. But if you want to be a professional wrestler, you need to have that mental fortitude. The end. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's great. Life advice. I mean, it's similar to what I would tell an actor starting out. Same thing, right? Your body is your tool. Be a nice person. People want to work with you, then you'll get work.
And work your ass off. Because it's not enough in wrestling to just be a good wrestler.
No. If you're going to be a prick, you got to be as good as Shawn Michaels.
There you go. And then God punished him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It comes around eventually. Right? Yeah.
No, for real though. Like it's not enough to be a good wrestler though. You need to bring something to the table. Something that I tell new wrestlers all the time is that when you want to get booked somewhere, if I'm a booker, if I'm hiring you to wrestle in that spot, I got to fire somebody else. Whose job can you take? People don't think about it that way. They're just like, can't you just add me to the card and make a singles match a three-way? And it's like, no. We've already got 30 people on the card, bro. We can't do that. Tell me whose job you can take, because I'm going to have to fire someone to put you on the card. So it damn sure better be useful for me, and I better be getting a return on my investment with you. Now, can you do that? Can you provide some kind of value to me that will make you, like, unbookable? somebody who's like essential to the operation. I also tell new wrestlers very frequently, learn another wrestling related skill. Photoshop for posters, video editing, sound editing, music, Twitch streaming, like all this other stuff. Learn another skill. Because if I have a guy who was on every one of my shows, Alex Mays. He's a student. He's only been wrestling for about 2 years. You know who he's on every show for? He heads up ring crew. I can trust him to build the ring properly. Wow. I don't have to pay attention to that as a booker and promoter. That's one less job that I have to do on the day that makes my life easier. Can you drive a ring truck? Awesome. Can you make entrance videos for me? Sweet. Eventually, there are some people who can get by on just pure talent alone. But if somebody like Speedball Bailey is on Twitch all the time and doing all that shit, you're not better than that. So, contribute.
And vlogging and everything else, like, he gets the social media.
Contribute. That's it. Just contribute, man. Because, like, on the indie level, like, I know it's very popular. There's a narrative to say, like, if the promoter doesn't have the money, well, then they shouldn't run the show and whatever. But a lot of these promoters are just, like, flying by on the seat of their pants. And a lot of us are not bad people trying to rip people off. We're just the ones who get shoved into these positions of power. I never wanted to be a promoter and a booker. I wanted to be a wrestler, but I broke my back. And my thing is that I put people over, so I became a booker. But I'll still have people saying that, like, oh, I'm trying to secure a spot. And, like, I'm a manager, bro. Like, I'm a manager only to put other people over. But they'll still say that, you know. It's like, so whose job can you take? Tell me, whose job can you take? Which is why you always need to be the best you can possibly be and make the most of every experience. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. You better.
Nice.
We the ones.
We the ones.
we the ones. Class. Well, I'm going to say on behalf of everybody here, thank you
You're
so
most
much
welcome
for coming on to the podcast, for talking to us about all things wrestling related, from your experiences to some excellent stories about, in particular, Pat Patterson. So thank you so much for coming on and chatting to us. It's been great. I mean, for me, it's 1 a.m. here in Scotland. I'm still wide awake. I'm ready to go. So I'm loving it. So thank you so much, mate.
I'm sorry I ruined your sleep cycle. I hope you get the REM.
Nah, do you know what? I've already booked every Wednesday off, so like I don't give a shit anymore. Like that day's gone to me. This is what
Time
I do
is meaningless.
on a Tuesday night when we record. I just talk about wrestling as much as I can.
Dedication, baby. Let's go.
There you go. You gotta outwork everyone. See what I mean? There you go. You gotta do the work. Yeah, you're welcome. Let me get some plugs in real quick here, before we finish. Please. So at Shayne Hawke. Shayne has a Y. So sorry, no, my name is Shayne Hawke. That was wrong. Oh, I screwed it up already. At Superstar Hawk on pretty much every single platform. Hawk has an E at the end of it. Superstar Hawk. And you can follow the IWS at IWS Hardcore on Twitter, on Instagram. We do not have TikTok yet. I have TikTok, though. I have a personal TikTok at Superstar Hawk. Also, please check out youtube.com/IWS Hardcore. A ton of free footage. One of the best ways to support, other than buying merchandise, is to just watch that shit so we can make a couple of pennies every time. Thank you so much. There's some really cool old matches there of like the Kevin Owenses and I think you'll be surprised with some of the matches that are on there. People don't really pay attention to it, and they should. Watch us on the Fight Network. Fight Network, Canada, UK, USA, all over the place. Skynet. IWS Bloodstream plays Fridays at 8 o'clock and then repeats throughout the week. Watch it. Tell me what you like. Tweet, write to me. Say, hey, dude, you're ugly, but you're talented. Go ahead. And then, let's see. Oh, yeah, and also live shows will be eventually returning. Right now, March 12th, at the historic M. Tellis, IWS presents Uneffin' Sanctioned 2.0 because they're coming home, baby. Ooh. That's right, Matt Lee and Jeff Parker, the show 2.0. will be back in Montreal, back in the IWS for their first appearance since going down to Florida before they got fired in the first place. So that's going to be super fun. We'll have Impact superstar Speedball Mike Bailey defending the IWS World Heavyweight Champion and all of your championship. He's not the champ. He's not a belt. He is the championship. All your IWS favorites like Tabernacle Team, The Green Phantom, Matt Angel, Kevin Blanchard, Casanova Productions featuring their handsome manager Shayne Hawke, Black Quebecois, IWS Women's Champion Veda Scott, as well as the Sweetest P, Kristara, Alex Mays, and all your favorite IWS hardcore soldiers. Folks, thank you for tuning in. I have been Professor H. Shayne Hawke, and we'll see you next time. See how I got that plug thing down like all the time, right? Like that's what I was saying about.
Amazing, my goodness.
Yeah, you've.